just kind of run through this for you. And as always, I'm going to tell you what we know now. It's an ongoing investigation. It's a fluid scene. So things are subject to change as we continue the investigation and as the facts become more known and there's clarity, greater clarity as we interview more people. But what I can tell you is that at about 9:30 this morning, a Pinellas County Sheriff's Office deputy with our court processing section arrived here at 4809 46th Avenue North, apartment number 1, to serve eviction papers on Larry Dennis Hode, H-O-A-D. He's a white male. Date of birth is 8/18/51. When the deputy spoke with him, he served him with the papers, and there was no indication that there would be any problems or any issues. Hode indicated that he understood what his obligation was and once the court had issued that order, and that he was to be out within 24 hours. The deputy left, and it was what we consider an uneventful eviction process. At about 10 minutes of 1 this afternoon, deputies were called back here to the scene at 4809 46th Avenue because there was a report of shots fired. Deputies arrived at the residence, which is directly behind me on the north side of 46th Avenue. This is the greenhouse that you can see there. And as deputies approached the front, other deputies arrived in the area. And Sergeant McLean went north off 46th Avenue behind me on 47th Way. He parked his cruiser on the west side of 47th Way between 46th and 47th Avenue. As Sergeant McLean got out of his car, he saw Hode, who was in an alley, which is just to the north here, and he was walking southbound. Hode had in his hand a 9mm semi-automatic handgun and a .30-06 rifle. As Sergeant McLean approached, he ordered Hode to drop the rifle and to drop the handgun. In response to Sergeant McLean's commands to drop the gun, Hode's response was to fire 2 shots at Sergeant McLean. And Sergeant McLean is extremely lucky. We're very fortunate that he wasn't hit, but he was standing near his cruiser, and one of the shots went into the door of the cruiser on this side of Sergeant McLean, and the other shot went into the door of the cruiser on this side of Sergeant McLean. Sergeant McLean, after being fired upon, returned fire, striking Hode in the upper body. He was transported here to Bayfront Hospital where he did surgery. The original shots fired call was because Hode had shot another person who lived in the same house as he did. It's a triplex. I'm not going to release the name of the other victim. He's still alive. He was shot several times in the upper body, and he's at Bayfront Hospital. I'm not going to release his name because next of kin has not been notified. So as Hode, after being served with the eviction papers, is that he left his house, he shot the other resident of the triplex. He went to 4813 46th Avenue, which again is just behind me on the north side. It's the closest greenhouse behind me. And we have video of this from the house, is that he went to the homeowner's door and fired 5 rounds right into the door of the house. The homeowner, coincidentally, had gone out to the front to take trash out and was coming back into the home. He has video inside his house. After he fired those 5 rounds with a semi-automatic 9mm handgun, he went around to the east side of the house and fired 2 more rounds into the house. He also, in this rampage, this shooting rampage, after shooting the other resident of the triplex, shooting into the house here at 4813. The house that Hode lives in was being painted, and he shot at the painter who was painting the house. And it was after he shot the painter that he then went to a house just north of the alley and was looking for another person that he was looking to shoot and kill. And he spoke to one of the neighbors there and asked where that person was, identified that person by name. The person wasn't there. And it was then, as he was coming back south from making contact with that person, that he encountered Sergeant McLean and had the rifle in his hand, had the 9mm in his hand, was ordered to drop it, didn't, and fired upon Sergeant McLean. So that's the sequence of events. Again, it's fluid, it's ongoing. I can tell you that Hode has a criminal history. He is known to us. We're still trying to flush out all of that information. 65-year-old guy, but obviously very violent and was looking to kill people. And we're very fortunate that he didn't kill the deputy sheriff. Sergeant McLean's very lucky, and thankfully he was able to return fire and eliminate that threat.
So in total, how many people did he shoot at?
So he shot 4 totally. Sergeant McLean, the painter, the unidentified victim who I'm not identifying to you, and then the resident at 4813 46th Avenue, where he fired a total of 7 rounds into the guy's house. And this guy, the next door, the neighbor who he fired into his house, has called the police before on him, has had problems with him, and they have issues with each other. So it appears that after he was served with these eviction papers this morning, is that he decided he was going to go hurt people who he thought were causing him problems, or he had issues or angst. And that's what it appears was the situation.
So revenge.
It looks like it. Now, again, I can't tell you it's revenge for the eviction. I can tell you that the neighbors have called the police on him, and we've been out here many times. The neighbors don't get along with him. There's been issues with the neighbors, and it definitely, at this point, indicates that he was looking for more people. And as he encountered some people, he didn't shoot them. As he encountered others, he did. And he was looking for this yet other guy. When Sergeant McLean encountered him, he had just left the neighbor's house looking for yet another victim who he wanted to shoot, and that person wasn't there. So if Sergeant McLean hadn't encountered him, he, by all accounts, would have continued on this rampage, and he was looking for more victims.
Did he hit the painter?
He did not hit the painter.
No.
Did not hit him.
Where is he now?
Where is he now? He's shot by Sergeant McLean. He's at Bayfront Medical Center, and he's in surgery.
Sheriff, can you clarify who was shot? Because we were hearing that
So who was shot was, again, it's because we haven't identified him to you, we haven't notified the next of kin. So who was shot is a male subject who resided in one of the triplex apartments at 4809 46th Avenue.
So a neighbor?
Neighbor, sure. Lived in the same triplex, sure, neighbor. The 3 apartments, he lived in one. He was shot. And the other person who shot is the person who did all the shooting, and that is Hode, who was shot by Deputy McLean. The other 2 people were shot at, that's the painter and the resident of 4813, and he was not struck, although there were 7 rounds shot into his house.
And can you spell Hode's last name again?
H-O-A-D.
First name again?
Larry Dennis Hode. He's a white male. His date of birth is 8/18/51.
What can you say about just the outcome with all of this, the fact that he shot at so many people?
Well, it could have been a lot worse, and we're very thankful that more people weren't shot and killed, and very thankful, of course, that Sergeant McLean is safe, because when he encountered him, think about this, and this is the dynamic that is out there today, is that people aren't listening to law enforcement, they don't follow commands. And Sergeant McLean, as he was advancing toward him, he verbalized, and he told him to drop the guns, and in that second of drop the guns, he raised the gun and he fired at the sergeant, and barely missed him, going on either side of him. So the bullets go on either side of Sergeant McLean. And because Sergeant McLean verbalized and told him to drop the gun and warned him as opposed to shooting first, he probably put himself in more jeopardy, because this guy had already shot, he was coming toward him, and he came around a tree, and when he gave him those orders to drop the gun, his response wasn't to drop the gun and not to follow the sergeant's orders, but to shoot twice. And we're very thankful. This outcome could have been very, very tragic, when the sergeant's standing there and one bullet goes this way and one bullet goes this way, and the bullets went into the cruiser. If Sergeant McLean had been sitting in the car where that one bullet went, which is in the driver's side door, it would have gone right into his side.
Can we at least say, as far as the injuries, the severity of the injuries, that the neighbor and this Hood are?
They are, at this point, they are life-threatening injuries. And they're in surgery, and all I can tell you is they are life-threatening. I don't have any more information as far as that.
With y'all's previous interactions with him, have you had such violent interactions with him, or just if you can talk about the interactions?
Yeah, no violent interactions, neighbor problems, that type of thing. He does have an extensive criminal history. I can't tell you exactly what it is, but we're still in the process of trying to put all that together. We'll have that for you later, of course. I can tell you that there's some sex crimes in the past and some things that I looked at briefly, but I don't have the extent and the full nature of his criminal history. I can tell you we have been out here, and we're putting all that together, and we'll get all that information for you once we have it.
Can you spell Sergeant McLean's first and last name?
Yeah, it's Matthew McLean, M-C-L-E-A-N.
Where is that, the car he's in right now?
The cruiser that Sergeant McLean is
Press
in is still
conference
parked there. It's on 47th Way, which is behind me, between
Can someone
46th
look up that,
and 47th.
see if you can get the
Avenue.
mug of the
It's still
suspect?
parked there.
He spilled it in this thing.
And I'll get some photos of it. I'll give you some photos of it.
Okay.
You got the bullet holes in it. And again,
Oh,
it's a
okay,
30 6
gotcha.
rifle.
If someone
and
wrote down the
9mm
name, that would be
semi-automatic
great.
handgun is
Okay,
what
so
Hope had
thanks, Ben.
in his hand, and he fired for what we know right now. And he had a bunch of extra rounds too, so he had all kinds of ammunition with him, and he had a big hunting knife. So he was prepared, and he had again for the rifle and for the handgun, he had a lot of ammunition. So he was out trying to.
The second, the other person that he went down looking for, was that the landlord?
We don't know yet. No, it wasn't a landlord. It was not the landlord. And we don't know what the relationship is right now. Again, that's part of the investigation that's ongoing and the fluid part of it. We have a first name for that person. Detectives are trying to locate him right now. He's at work. He wasn't there. And so we're trying to figure that out as to what the vendetta was and why he was looking for this person.
Okay, so it was just somebody he was looking for. That person just happened to be at work.
Correct. So he's lucky.
The painter was working on his apartment building?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Anything else?
Thank you.